FBI crime lab, they are still investigating how that cocaine might have made it into the White House and who it might have belonged to. Oversight Chairman James Comer writes, quote, "The presence of illegal drugs is unacceptable and shameful moment in the White House's history." But Republicans on his committee demanding answers from the Secret Service, who is investigating this, may not get a briefing on it until later this month. Here's Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre after a reporter asked this. Watch.
I'm just asking again, can we just say once and for all whether or not the cocaine belonged to the Biden family?
The Biden family was not here. They were not here. They were at Camp David. They were not here Friday. They were not here Saturday. They were not here Sunday. They were not even here Monday. They came back on Tuesday. So to ask that question is actually incredibly irresponsible. And I'll just leave it there.
Okay. So with that, we bring in Republican Congressman Pat Fallon of Texas. He serves on the House Oversight Committee. Good to have you here, Congressman Fallon. It turns out, when we took a look at the time logs on this, that the Biden family left at 6:34 p.m. on Friday. So they actually were there on Friday. She says they weren't there Monday. I'm not sure why that would matter, because it was found on Sunday, less than 2 days after they left the premises. Do you think that the press secretary needs to clarify that?
Yeah, I think that she might be living in another time dimension, because clearly the Bidens were there on Friday, and she's just obfuscating as she usually does. But Martha, it's completely plausible, unfortunately, that one of the Biden family members could have left it there, because they were there in that area on June 30th, and it was found 2 days later. So for her to dismiss it out of hand is very irresponsible on her part, quite frankly.
So, now we're hearing that you all aren't going to get any information on this investigation until later in the month. If the cocaine was found on a bag, doesn't it have fingerprints on it? And how long would it take to answer that question? Weeks? Days? Hours? Half an hour?
That's just, Martha, that's a great question, because I asked several down in Texas. I asked some of our state troopers, Texas Rangers and sheriffs, those kind of people who do this for a living for decades. And they all said to me that on very porous surfaces like bags and envelopes, you'll be able to determine within an hour if there's fingerprints on it. Within an hour. By my math, we're 192 hours from the time it was discovered, and yet we don't know, because if there was no fingerprints, they could have told us immediately. So I suspect there are fingerprints, and you can run it through a database, and this was found where high-level aides and staffers are. So most of them were fingerprinted at one time or another. So they very well may already know who it belongs to and aren't sharing it with us. And that's my greatest concern and worry.
Yeah, it's pretty astonishing that from the get-go, the response at the White House has been back off, basically. When I think in many White Houses, it would have been more like, we're going to get to the bottom of this. Obviously, this is an illegal substance that somehow made it into the White House. So we got to figure out who let this happen and who it belongs to, and we have to prosecute them.
Yes, under the MacCallum administration, clearly that's what you would have done, and you should be.
Or maybe at the MacCallum household, I can tell you that's what I would have done. Let me ask you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, Martha, all I was going to say is they could have gotten to the bottom of this immediately. If you find cocaine in the White House, my goodness, what if it had been anthrax? Yeah. We need to muster all resources, let the Secret Service and the FBI do their jobs, and find who the perpetrator was, and make sure they no longer have access, and prosecute them to the full extent of the law.
Well, it kind of feels like anything goes now at the White House and sometimes in the nation. I mean, you can smoke pot pretty much everywhere now. There's people showing up half naked on the White House lawn. And now there's cocaine there, and we're all supposed to feel like it's not a big deal. I do want to ask you one different question before I let you go. David Weiss, the attorney out of Delaware who's handling the Hunter Biden case, has now refuted 3 times what the whistleblower has testified in that case, saying that he had the freedom to be a special counsel or to move that investigation out to another state. What do you make of that from your perch at the Oversight Committee? Are you convinced?
No, actually not. Not at all, because they've continually given different answers, and it's clear that not all these whistleblowers under oath are lying. They're telling the truth, and these folks are covering for the Biden administration and the Biden family, for that matter.
Well, we will see. That story continues to unfold. Thank you very much, Congressman Fallon. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Martha. God bless.